In accordance with the defendant's accusation, a new prosecutor shall be called to replace Mr. Faraday. Why have a prosecutor substitution based only on an unsubstantiated accusation? I'm sorry, I just find that very hard to believe. September 10th. Just think, the very next day, they'll be honoring the horrific tragedy of 11 years past. Also, is that kid wearing a shirt with the blue badger printed on it? How is that possible when not even the shape that inspired the blue badger's design existed yet? Also, cue the fangirls over 20-year-old Edgeworth. Today's trial should have ended in just 1 minute, because the defendant was picked up by security camera, correct? With that being the case, assuming the trial began at 10 a.m. like most other trials in the series, why did it take 5 hours and 20 minutes for us to get to this point? Edgeworth, disgracing yourself as Faraday has will not be forgiven. Even though it's only his first trial, Manfred's ruthlessness takes no experience into account, even on his own disciples. The victim, Mr. Deadman, was a staff member at the embassy. The defendant in this case, Mr. Mackrell. Now, its attorney names can oftentimes be very fascinating. Like, you got Jack Hammer, alright? Dustin Prince, fit for a police officer, I guess. Doug Swallow, don't be like Terry Falls, who fell there after swallowing. Palmaractus was an interesting way to mix up 2 letters in a word that already exists. And then we have Dead Man and Mackrell. Man's established nationality is Cadopian, which doesn't exist, so I can't really ask what nation would have a man of that name. Screw it, who anywhere in the world with the last name Man would name their kid Dead? And don't even get me started on Mackrell. If only I was in charge of that case, I would have done everything in my power to prove his guilt. Sure, just make sure no evidence is hidden from you, forcing you to fabricate something in order to win your case. What is it, little girl? You're scary, mister. I feel like Manfred should be used to that comment by now. A fistful of dimes, quarters, and pennies, but it looks like you've exactly $1. I see 2 quarters, 3 dimes, 3 pennies, and that last coin tucked behind the quarter that's heads up. That might be a nickel, it's hard to tell, but this whole pile of coins is most definitely not $1 exactly. How disrespectful for a child like that to be running around inside the courthouse. Does no one have respect for this country's judicial system anymore? She could just be running errands for her prosecutor dad, though it would be nice to see said prosecutor dad with her as well. Hey, you! No running in the hallway, pal! You sound like my teacher! Well, I freaked out when I heard a gunshot, and then I kind of froze. You're a detective and a measly gunshot scared you that much? He just said he was new, and a courthouse is not exactly a place to expect to hear a gunshot. Give the big fella a break. Also, wasn't it a gunshot that killed your dad? Can't you empathize even a little bit with this guy? He's claiming that no one else entered the room. If that's the case, then they must have killed each other, correct? Maybe. Such impudence! This guy is really testing my patience! He's just giving you the rundown, dude. Do not take me for some naive novice. Where did her nose go? Thanks for the great laugh, but try not to make me laugh so much, okay? I don't want to make you laugh. Like, at all. The person I was going against in court until only a little while ago was just murdered. It's not like I could go back into the courtroom pretending as though nothing happened. Not to mention you don't have a client to represent anymore, but you're not gonna bring that up, are you? I would have proved his guilt in 3 minutes. Manfred in his 3 minutes. Back on topic. I'm placing Edgeworth in charge of the investigation here. Papa! How could you place him in charge? Probably because he's older and has more experience in the field, at the very least compared to you. Also, does 13-year-old Francie's outfit seem a bit revealing to anyone else? At least compared to as an adult? Or is it just me? Franziska, what are you doing here? I'm here for summer vacation. What else? Summer vacation? It's September. She is the daughter of Manfred von Karma and a student of his who's also a junior to me. You're the one who's junior to me, and don't you forget it! Sheesh, just because you're related to Manfred by blood and you can't really say the same about Edgeworth. Well, you know, I'm close to becoming a prosecutor myself, and I have 100% confidence that I can do a better job than him. Well, you're not exactly wrong to say this. Edgeworth, starting his career at 20, had a perfect winning streak until he was 24. Franziska, starting at 13, had a perfect record until 18. Though I guess in both cases, it's only because of mentor's influence, and in the case of Franziska, immense pressure. Also, when I asked the question in Reunion and Turnabout regarding Franziska being able to start her career at 13, Germany actually doesn't allow people to have a career like that until they're 16, so sin for that, I guess. This will be the perfect chance for us to see which of us is truly worthy of the one common name. Always having to do this the hard way, huh? Both of you are under the same mentor, can't you share the name? I don't know about that time. Remember that it was 4 o'clock exactly when the trial was meant to resume. Could it really have been 15 minutes since then when we finally check out the scene of the double homicide? I personally go for 20. And if you were to call me prosecutor boy one more time, it will be my duty as a prosecutor to look into your monthly salary.
Well, what? And what would you do with my salary after you saw how much it was?
That's up to you now, isn't it?
Really? Sounds good, pal.
He's so naive. I don't know about that. He hasn't called you prosecutor boy since then. It looks like Mr. Faraday attacked Mr. Rell first, who then counterattacked. That's the only logical conclusion you can draw from a scene like this. Not yet. I feel that it's much too early to be drawing conclusions already. Even before redemption from Von Karma, Edgeworth used logic and reasoning in making his investigations. That's not the impression you'd get from all the times you've interacted with him in the Phoenix Wright trilogy, but that's only because you only play as Edgeworth once in the Phoenix Wright trilogy, and that's after his redemption arc. In this game, you get to see for yourself that he is, as a matter of fact, a spitting image of Phoenix Wright. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. And I will rest until I've sinned every instance this line appears.
I mean, why would Mr. Faraday know how to fire a gun?
It's not exactly rocket science. Even I know how to pull a trigger, although I doubt I'll ever need to use one. Even a numbnuts that rarely ever fires his weapon would know the procedure. A perfect description of Detective Dick Gumshoe. Also, if you think Edgeworth would eventually in the future need to fire a gun to solve an otherwise impossible problem, wait for Ace 37 and hope that the irony gets fulfilled. I usually get ink on my own hand when I use my feather pen.
A feather pen? I've never seen one before. Sure you aren't just making it up, pal?
What, just because people don't use feather pens anymore? Not unless they're Hogwarts students? Detective Gumshoe, whose blood is on this bag?
Hold on, let me ask the lab guy.
Alright, please hurry.
Wait till you get a load of this, pal. It's Mr. Faraday's. Oh, and the technician said they didn't find anything else on or in the bag either.
It would appear that this bag is a very important piece of evidence.
Not really, especially considering what it was used for.
Also, nothing other than the blood on or in the bag except for the hole in it. What was with the hole not being pointed out? You'd think you'd be able to point out a contradiction with Faraday holding the gun in his right hand after learning he was left-handed, but not yet. You have other unrelated things to examine before you go back to the corpses to point out this glaring inconsistency.
Don't touch it! You'll get your fingerprints all over it. But I didn't touch it.
Oh, right. Yeah, the TV just happened to turn on.
We never left the defendant lobby. Why does the game need to tell us again? Also, the TV's off now, even though I don't think anyone else touched it.
Here's the autopsy report.
Don't you mean preliminary findings? The bodies are still in the room. You obviously haven't done an autopsy yet. Mr. Faraday's bag was sitting right here in lobby number 2. It is not hard to imagine that perhaps Mr. Rell saw a chance and took it out at some point. So, what you're saying is this. Rell took a chance when he saw the opportunity and took the knife from the bag. And then Faraday shot Rell after being stabbed? Franziska's just putting words in Edgeworth's mouth right here. He never said Faraday was stabbed before shooting Rell. The only purpose of Franziska's summary is so Edgeworth can repeat what he already said about Faraday dying instantly. Or maybe she's hoping Edgeworth could ask for an update of the autopsy report to say Faraday died almost instantly. Mr. Faraday's body is lying on top of Mr. Rell's. Therefore, Mr. Rell must have died before Mr. Faraday. Rell lying underneath Faraday does not prove that he died first. After being shot, Rell could have moved closer to Faraday, like within point-blank range, because remember, he was shot at from at least a yard away, and stabbed him while falling. He probably didn't die until after Faraday was already on top of him. Disregarding the gun for the moment, there's a high probability of blood splatter when a knife is used on a person. If the culprit held the knife with a plastic bag around it, they could use the bag to catch any blood splatter from when they withdrew the knife. Maybe, but for what purpose exactly if it's just that one bag?
Objection!
That's not the same objection soundbite you had before. Oh, but honestly, this one sounds a heck of a lot better. Mr. Bad, I advise you to place Detective Gumshoe under arrest.
What? What?
What's the meaning of this? Ha! Looks like you're not man enough to discipline your own subordinates. You were the one who told him to arrest Gumshoe. Explain your grounds, then judge Bad's character.
No!
No, a brand new detective suddenly getting his salary cut. That's reason enough for a grudge. For some people, maybe, but Gumshoe doesn't sound like some people. Edgeworth cuts his salary pretty much all the time.
Miles Edgeworth, I demand that you shut his whole woman up! I'm trying!
The victim's name is CCU. You will note that she has the same last name as you. Can you really still tell me with a straight face that you are not related to this case? Sorry, but we're not related.
What?
Just kidding. No, she wasn't. We don't know that yet. I'm charged with making sure that all the criminals of this world are found guilty. I have no need for laughter. Now excuse me while I watch this stupid children's show about a samurai warrior that battles the forces of evil with a spear. Mr. Von Karma, I swear to uphold your honorable name, or my name isn't Miles Edgeworth. Nor is it even Miles Von Karma! Remember how the Phoenix Wright trilogy had passages in time that seemed a bit too long in-game? These ones feel too short. I feel like investigation of the defendant lobby would have taken more along the lines of a whole hour, not half. Ah, looks like you'll have to wait just a bit longer for your big debut. Unfortunately, 6 months later, even his big debut would end in total disaster with the defendant's suicide. The perfect proof. Don't make me laugh. A worthless person like you has no right to claim such a thing as perfection. Even though you're the one who raised him to strive for perfection. Oh, it's you, Edgeworth. And who are you? Wait, you were at the crime scene just now, weren't you?
You should be disbarred for not knowing who I am!
Calm down, you're just as new as Edgeworth is.
Well, why are you whipping me?
It's not like Fransie's above whipping other women. Did you see how she handled Lotta Hart? Or Mimi Miney? You're not very funny or witty, are you, little Miss Von Karma? There are two different ways to write the title for a maiden in English. One is the more common Ms, and the other is Miss. But Miss does not end with a period like Ms does.
Franziska, be careful about who you whip.
Choose carefully or we may be sued by... There, I chose carefully just like you wanted. If he wanted to, Edgeworth could have taken all the whippings for Gumshoe, but he's not that noble, is he?
Bloody! When she's not laughing, her mouth seemingly spews nothing but insults.
And in shock, Edgeworth lets out his British side, even though I highly doubt that Edgeworth is meant to be British. If that's your headcanon, I have no issues whatsoever. I see. So a defense lawyer is actually just someone whose job is to cover for criminals.
That's why defense lawyers are so detestable, but they are no match for us Von Karmas.
I would suggest the Von Karmas probably got their lawyer-hating roots from the Kingdom of Kurain, but Kurain didn't hate lawyers until about 4 years after DL6.
Turns out, he was mad at me because on my very first day as a detective, I reported it in my usual post instead of the Criminal Affairs Department.
In other words, Bird Faraday is not exactly tolerant toward rookie mistakes, even if they are made by rookies. Actually, that sounds familiar. Why did Manfred detest him so much?
I must confirm whether or not his testimony about when the crime occurred is the truth.
But in order to do so, I must manually approach him all over again.
Yep, not even a single ant passed through that hole while I was on duty.
What about a whole hill?
Ah! You! No!
How could you not have noticed that coming? Beats me, Gumshoe even gave some kind of warning.
Oh, you're that new prosecutor Mr. Von Karma recommended, right?
My name is Miles Edgeworth, Your Honor. And I'm Manfred von Karma's daughter, Franziska von Karma. I'm set to become the successor to my genius father any day now, Your Honor.
I see, Mr. New Prosecutor recommended by Von Karma, Miles Edgeworth, and Miss Jean. Ah! I bit my tongue.
And no wonder, did you seriously try to say all that really quickly instead of just a simple Mr. Edgeworth and Ms. Von Karma? Where were you at the time of the murder?
Do you suspect me of something?
No, nothing of the sort, Your Honor.
Very well, you may continue with your testimony.
Your Honor, it's your testimony I'm after.
Oh, I had no idea you were chasing after me or my testimony.
I'm beginning to sense that I might want to avoid being in a trial run by this judge.
I'm afraid that can't be helped.
When you get to be my age, you need to pay more frequent visits to the restroom.
I already know how that is, and I'm only 22. Thanks for reminding me.
When I was going into the restroom, that detective, Gumshoe is it? Well, he was standing in front of the vending machines buying something from it.
However, and this I couldn't believe, when I was about to exit the restroom, there was not a soul in the hallway anymore. Does anyone else feel like the judge in this game is a lot more lively than he was anywhere else in the series? Defendant's fresh milk. Is that supposed to be a reference to how one of the defendants Phoenix would later represent needs to drink milk before going on stage? Because I can't think of any reason in-universe why they refer to the milk option as defendant's fresh milk. After giving the big lug his assignment, he never left the hallway, not once. Oh, and how can you make such a claim? One of the guards out in this floor's main lobby swore to me he didn't. And yet Gumshoe is still under suspicion. That makes you the discoverer of the crime scene, right? Yeah, I guess it does, little miss. I'm about to become a prosecutor very soon. You will treat me with the dignity I deserve, or else. People aren't going to give you dignity if you don't give it to them. It's a pink-colored piece of trash, made of rubber. Oh, come on! Even I can guess pop balloon. What's the matter? I pricked myself on one of this cactus's needles. I didn't think the needles on this thing would be so sharp. Is Gumshoe's stupidity rubbing off on Edgeworth, perchance? Anyways, this cactus seems to be unrelated to our case. Do you really think so? Because I believe that this cactus sitting on this windowsill is completely related. Edgeworth would be right, but why would he think so at first glance? It's just a cactus on a windowsill. Oh, that detective! He claims that not a single arch lit by him, and yet here is a whole hill of them! Yuck! What are you hitting me for? As a replacement for that pathetic detective! Can't you just save the whip for when you see Gumshoe again? So now it's 5:15? If it were 4:45 when we first got back to the third floor lobby, then started investigating the hallway, I'd bet more at approximately 5:30. Though if we consider everything else, it should probably be more along the lines of 6 o'clock now. Silence in the courtroom! Silence, I say! Mr. New Prosecutor recommended by Manfred von Karma, Miles, Edgeworth, and Miss Genius Prosecutor successor Manfred von Karma, Francis. Ah! Did he really just try the same thing twice? Why? So we actually get to cross-examine the judge for once. Nice. But what was that finger wag for, Mr. Edgeworth? And don't you know it's rude to shout objection while someone is giving testimony? Something you'd never have a problem with in the future, apparently. No! It looked like this in the original version. You'd think in the remaster they'd have it fixed, but nope. Your Honor, I cannot allow you to make an objection. What? Your Honor, I'm really sorry, but I cannot allow you to not allow me to make an objection. Egads! I've been overruled? Get used to this, Your Honor. Mr. New Prosecutor recommended by Manfred von Why can't you just say Mr. Edgeworth? Let me ask then, how did you manage to purchase a pack all by yourself? Can you provide me with a proper explanation to that?
I told you I bought it by myself, pal. There wasn't anyone else in that hallway with me, so there's no one who could have helped me buy it.
Then that just means you couldn't have bought it, but that isn't true either, is it?
Hey, you showed that to me not 2 seconds ago, pal.
I think you're under the mistaken impression that I bought this pack of rolls. When did he ever say that? Can't even have Kay walk in from off the side of the screen? Nope, just gotta have her instantly materialize into the room. Faraday. Are you perhaps Mr. Faraday's daughter?
I'm not a you, I'm Kay.
That was pretty smart, Alecky, even for a 10-year-old.
I wonder if I should feed her something.
Why does the game threaten to penalize me over this? Kay. Here, how about we use this handkerchief here to dry your little eyes? No! My cravat! Don't blow your nose on that! Seriously, the man offered you a handkerchief and you don't even hate him anymore. Why go straight for the cravat? I promised Daddy I'd never cry in front of strangers.
And you're a good kid, aren't you, Kay? You always keep your promises, right?
Except for just a minute ago and also a few hours ago. I'll even testify that you didn't cry, just for you. Thank you very much, lady. It's nothing. I'm only telling the truth after all. No, you're not.
It appears that there are more than just the 5 I thought there were.
We just can't read them unless we present the notebook to Kay for some reason. It's not like they're footnotes or anything, just 5 promises, then the last page which basically says, Daddy wants you to keep your promises, okay, sweetheart? Story says Edgeworth gives Kay the cravat she blew her nose on and puts on a spare, but graphics say he puts the exact same cravat back on after removing it. That's disgusting. Don't worry, I've already put in the necessary paperwork for his formal arrest. Does she even have the authority for such things? She's only a defense attorney, or so she pretends to be. If we were to assume it was 5:15 when we started questioning the judge, I think by now it should be more like 6 o'clock. But if we were to follow time overall, I'd estimate more like 6:45, and as a result, should be nowhere near as bright as shown here.
I was born for a much more expensive and refined perfume.
However, seeing as how you just happen to have a spare, I suppose I'll take it.
Miles Edgeworth, you will hold on to this bottle without fail.
Why can't she ever be honest about her once?
Because aren't we all so fancy-pantsy about our perfume?
The honest truth behind the KG8 incident.
Hardy Detective turned out to have been sucking on a lollipop this whole time.
You were shot at that many times in one gunfight? No. Only about half of these are from that case.
Bad's jacket still took quite a lot of bullets. I don't think it's even possible that he never needed at least one bullet extracted from his body.
I could have stolen this lollipop from you, that's how naive you are.
Before you make points about someone being naive, try learning how to spell lollipop correctly.
That's why I was called upon to testify in today's trial. To prove that Rel was not the real Yatagarasu. Which I would have done if he hadn't turned around and accused Faraday. After the accusation, I was asked to testify, but this time, to prove or disprove the accusation. But I guess I won't be doing that either.
Considering what we learned about the Yatagarasu, I wonder what kind of tricks Bat and Faraday would have used to hide their secret identities. Every person who enters the courthouse doors is checked thoroughly for contraband, which should have meant that Franziska would have had her writing crop confiscated, especially with the way she uses it.
Then maybe Errol really was the Yatagarasu, and he was the one who killed Faraday. Isn't that one possible scenario?
Except we've already heard from Bad why it couldn't have been Rel. I swear they're not even trying to get the times right anymore. If it were 5:45 at the beginning of the chapter, by the time we got back to the crime scene after examining the evidence, it should be more like 6:30 p.m. But if we factor everything else, 7:30. So that we may find the truth, please testify for me once more. But wait until I close the present screen and select the talk option first. Remember when the TV was first turned on? The sound was pumped up at max. For the sake of no one's eardrums being ruptured, is it safe to assume that the volume was turned down before this footage was played for verification? If it were really 6 o'clock when we came back to the crime scene, it should probably be 6:30 now. But if we factor everything else, 8 o'clock. Oh, I see we even have a viewer in the gallery. I'm pretty sure a mere viewer in the gallery wouldn't be standing next to the prosecutor. They'd be, well, in the gallery. By use logic, I guess Maya has always been just a mere viewer. But see, that was 20 minutes before the real gunshot went off, right? And the problem is, there's no one else who can corroborate what he did since the snacking. Except for that guard who told Bad about it. But isn't it also possible that someone escaped through a window and into the garden? What is Edgeworth trying to gain from this? We all know the windows are barred, and if Edgeworth's trying to bluff, for what reason? I'm sure you've seen this before, haven't you, Miss Yu?
Aha! Edgeworth, I never knew you were into wearing that kind of perfume.
Ha ha ha, shut up and recognize it. But I suppose forgery of evidence is to be expected of a disciple of Von Karma. As far as I'm concerned, Manfred only made one forgery. Sure, he fixed witness testimony and hid evidence that was inconvenient for him, but as far as actually fabricating evidence, that was one time.
Did you really think you could trap me? Come now, be honest.
I never intended to do such a thing. It was all a misunderstanding on my part. No, that was totally your intention. Now to snap the trap shut and show her the key she mentioned that could turn into a knife. First the Joker, then the Riddler, now Harley Quinn. Callisto Yu, huh? That's not my real name, because my real identity is, yes, the Great Thief Yatagarasu! That's not your real name either. Yatagarasu is just a title, like how Batman's real name is Bruce Wayne. Which is why I had Rel help me set up the crime scene. And after all was said and done, I rewarded him for all his hard work with a bullet. But that doesn't make any sense. Rel seemed very willing to follow her every instruction the way he accused Faraday and even helped fabricate the crime scene. But if you had to betray him, you could have just as easily tried to frame him for the crime. This would lead to the mystery of how Rel managed to sneak a knife past the court security team. What a plan! Also, the lobbies were already established to be soundproof. Still, if I had to kill a witness I created, I'd just use the knife again.
You two, get down!
My body! I can't move!
Not even to save your life, especially after Ban instructed you? That actually sounds right if we assume it was 6:15 when we confronted you, but realistically, it'd be about 8:45 by now.
Yeah, I can't believe I was about to get fired during my first week as a detective.
Forget being fired, you could have been subject to capital punishment.
I'm going to stick right by your side from now on, Mr. Edgeworth, sir.
I sense nothing but a most troublesome relationship from that ominous statement.
Sorta yes and sorta no, you two are great together.
I'll investigate the next case we're on real well.
I'll, be counting on you.
The scent of trouble is definitely in the air.
Maybe closer than you think.
You know, I was really worried about you after all that. Where have you been all this time?
Gummy, I didn't know you cared. After my father died, I went to go live with my mother's relatives. And why is this the first that Gumshoe hears of this?
I laughed myself to
Death?